Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to PBTV and welcome back to Halo Mill and our Operation Knowhow. Obviously last week we covered slicing the pie, looking at threats of what could be a bit of cover. Obviously we were looking at a door, but what we did last week was more, could be any bit of terrain, it could be outdoor, it could be a tree, and obviously we did the cutting round, assessing what's on the other side of the terrain or in the dead zone, and obviously you could do that with one man, two man. What we're going to look at today is how you breach this threshold, how you get in the room in the safest possible manner. It's not very safe, and how you can do it with more than one person and a little bit of help from your oppo. So obviously what we did last week, we were doing the slicing the pie where you were cutting, stepping, getting all the way around to the other side where you've cleared all the, as much as you can apart from the dead corners. Obviously you could have a buddy on the other side, and obviously we did the step into the room, so driving in, and then what we're going to look at is shallow entries. There's a difference between trying to get as far into the room as possible and a shallow entry. So what we mean by shallow entry is when we're in the room, we want to punch in and stop about here. If we punch much farther into this corner, what we might find is pushing this way, there are windows, other doors, and we're stepping into zones that are not covered, dead zones, things like that, where you're exposing your body to a point that a weapon hasn't seen. So we're going to do this as a two-man setup, push into the room and just kind of do it a bit slow. So Mike, if you want to just dress in, similar to what we did last time. So we've already done the slicing, we've come round, I've got my oppo ready and weapons up like this. The indication for who's going to go is whoever raises their weapon. So Michael raises his weapon, that indicates to me I'm ready to go. So again, I do my step as fast as I can to get in the room. When I'm about here, Mike wants to do his step as well because I'm punching in this corner and there's still a bit of a dead zone behind me. So again, and we're going to do a shallow entry. So once we've got to here, what we then want to do, we're both then going to do what's called just a secondary sweep, and we've both seen there is an egress at the far end of the room. So backs to the wall as much as you can protect yourself. Mike's then going to start slicing towards there. I'm going to start doing the same thing. It doesn't really matter having to go all the way into the dead corner here, but all I want to do is again doing the same thing, presenting my weapon before parts of my body, trying to get the slightest angle I can. And then what I can do here, I've got the furthest to travel with this one. So this is probably my door. So again, Mike's weapon would go up. I do the steps. As soon as I get to the threshold of the door and push back, Mike wants to do the same thing. And then we continue, short, shallow moves and keep going. So what we'll try and do there, we'll do that a little bit faster. And what I'll do is, we've done the same thing, so we're going to do the same routine again, but try and do that whole move kind of as quick as we possible, but with weapons up, try and do it as rapid. And then what I'll do is I'll get Mike in, I'll get Warren in, we'll do it step by step, and then we'll try and do it as a full walkthrough. So we've done our slicing, our weapons are up, we've cut as much of these angles as possible, and we've got our fighting foot forward so that we know when we're going to do these steps, it's a step into the room. So as we're ready, as soon as Mike's weapon goes up, step, here we're in, and we do secondary sweep. We've seen the corner, so we start moving, dressing round. Again, slicing as much as you can. Come to that corner, as soon as I stop, his weapon goes up, and we punch through. As soon as I'm through, Mike goes through as well. So we'll try and do that again. I'll put Warren and Mike in, and we'll maybe stop you as points that we pick up. So Warren, if you want to start on this side, Mike, if you want to start on this side, obviously I'm going to be a threat in the room. As and when you're ready. So yeah, secondary sweeps. And then Warren, back against the wall, and you're going to, so your threat immediately becomes there. So if you want to just slightly reset, so just quickly reset as if you've just done your shallow entry, just there. And what you'll get is you've done your punch, yeah? So what you've done is once you've done your punch into the corner, your weapon then needs to do a complete sweep of the room and stop where you see the point that where you're going to move to is. So you're then back goes to that wall and moves down. So if you want to move from there, so then Warren, you're going to cut down, and Mike, you're going to start moving. So again, still doing the same principles that you had before, that your weapon moves before you, and obviously because Warren, you've knocked out now, Mike knows that you've got the furthest to move, so as soon as Mike's weapon goes up, you do the steps in, and as soon as he breaches that threshold, you need to do the same, yeah? So we'll go again. So again, from outside, we're going to do the full step through. So again, what you want to be doing with this threshold here as well, again, a 1-2 pace. So once you've done, it's again going back to last lesson, we're not doing the slicing, but as a shooter, when you come round, you know you want your sort of fighting foot forward. So you know your left foot or your outside foot is going to be outside the door, so your inside foot can step through. As soon as that inside foot steps through, the next man wants to be following you, so you can get in here and do that secondary sweep as quick as possible. So obviously you're covering your angles. What I will say as well, again, it's because you are suppressed and it's just one of them things, is this is coming past this corner, so you could drop the weapon over if you need to, but just make sure you're not presenting something that you don't want to be over presenting, yeah? Never mind. Ready? So weapons up. So again, sweep. You've seen the entrance, so you then want to start cutting down. And Mike will start cutting forward. Remember, when you are doing it, you want to make sure you are presenting your weapon before your body. It's fine. Yep. Weapon up. So yeah, nice. The only thing I noticed kind of there at the end, it's again, so if you want to step through, Mike, yep. Obviously you did the weapon up there, and then before you moved, your weapon went down before you were ready to move again. So if your weapon goes up, it's in a high ready. The next position is there. So obviously you can do a step, and then punch out as you get to here, because obviously if you have got an aimed weapon, it becomes a problem. So a high ready's fine, a low ready's fine, but again, if you're going to do the high ready, the punch out wants to be as soon as you breach that perimeter, yeah? So changing from a high to a low to a move, it's completely fine, but once you then want to not be doing that in the threshold of the door, you want to do that so you can punch out into that corner, like what you do when you come into the doors, do the sweep, and we'll do it. So we'll do that one more time, as fast as you can, but as fast as you can be sort of situationally aware. You want to move as fast as possible, but not too fast that you don't know what's going on around you. So again, you can set up the same side or the opposite side, it's entirely up to you. So again, I'll just point out one thing. Again, you want to make sure you're not presenting something beyond that threshold of that door. So, weapons up. Secondary sweeps. Yeah, and then start cutting. Nice. So again, I think both of you did it at one point there, is your weapon's going up to get the weapon out of the way of your oppo, and you're keeping your muzzle out of the way. As he walks in front of it, you did this to try and follow him around. It's almost like, I definitely don't want that muzzle in the way. It's up here, it's fine. Once he's out of the way, then you can bring it down. But yeah, it's all good. So it's all about that sort of speed of movement and just trying to be as fast as possible. What we'll do now, obviously, we talked about the slice of the pie and cover and it just being absolutely anything. What we've done here is what could potentially be on the other side of the door. Obviously here it's a room, it might not be. So what we're going to go on and do now is going to look at 1- and 2-man corridor clearing and what you do if there is a T end to a corridor, because you can't cover both directions with a 1 or a 2-man. And then we're going to look at a sort of open entry, sort of T entrance room as well. So you've got a bit more space to cover, but how you then access sort of if you have 2 threats in a room rather than just 1. So we'll find another spot in the site and we'll film from there. Join us in a second. So you join us at a T-junction, guys. Again, if you've, as we've said, when we've done any of the slicing the pie or breaching or anything, you don't know what's going to be beyond that sort of entrance. So at some point, you're going to find yourself where you're going to need to make a decision. If you are on your own, this can be reasonably simple to do, but it's probably a 50-50 at the end whether or not you get hit or not. But to give you the best chances possible, there's a little bit of sort of clearance and covering that you can do. If you're looking at the end of the corridor and you kind of know which direction you're wanting to go, so at the end of this corridor, we are wanting to turn left. So I want my back to this wall. This is so we can clear as much of that dead zone as possible before we do a turn, punch out, and clear out through that way. So the way this works, so we have decided that we're going to cut left at the end of here, so I'm going to try and clear as much of this dead zone as possible. As we've done before, the weapon moves before you, all you're doing, and once you've got to almost the 90 degrees, you don't want to go too far, and you're happy that you've covered as much as that angle as possible, you can then pace back, come round, get to this angle, and again, once you get to that 90 degrees and you go for the punch out, as soon as you do it, check, because there is still going to be a final bit of dead zone there, and then punch and go. Yeah? So, a little bit faster. So again, we are cutting, cutting, cutting. Once we've got to a point where we're happy, come round, punch, check, and move. Yeah? As fast as you can. You want that punch out, so you get your weapon up and ready into the real sort of dead corner of what's going to be there. Again, you may not know what's going to be down there. It could be a full room, as we've said, every time you're breaching a room or anything like that. Once you've played at a site, again, translation between real steel and airsoft, you've played at a site 3 or 4 times, you know where everything is, you know where people hide, you know where weapons are. This is more of a hostile situation scenario where there could be holes in the floor, there could be anything, so you want to present as little as possible. So when that weapon goes up, you want to come round, you want to punch deep into that corner, check and move as fast as possible. So we're going to get Mike forward. Mike's going to give this a go, and then we'll let Warren have a go as well. So at the end of this corridor, you're going to punch out left and cut through there. So you want to cut down here, keeping the weapon on that right hand angle. Keep going, keep going. Once you get almost to 90 degree, you don't want to see all the way around that corner. That's when you want to do the pace back, almost peel. So again, if you come around again, back against this wall, you don't want to just quickly swap. You still haven't cleared as much as that as possible. So if you do that full swing that you've done there, you've presented yourself to almost a 30-degree angle. So what you do is you'd pace back and then do a slice again like what you did on the corridor, yeah? So if you pace back, so once you've done this, what you want to do is come back and then do the cut like what you've done on the door, what you've learned already, do that and then punch through. If you're doing a straight swing, I've presented myself without my weapon up to about 45-degree angle on that corner. So if you want to just quickly reset, cover that door, keep going, keep going, keep going. So once you're happy, you then take a pace back, keep cutting, and then punch. But when you punch, you want that weapon to stay up, yeah? Because what you're going to do, that weapon's up in that corner, check, and then move. So you want to keep your weapon up, yeah? So Warren, if you want to step forward, we'll give Warren a quick go. So you're going to go left at the end, so you want your weapon on that angle. You can transition if you want, if it makes it easier. But remember, when you swap sides, you're going to have to transition back, yeah? So keep cutting. So if you want to cut down the door, keep going, keep going. Once you're happy, you want to then swap sides, yeah? Keep cutting, and then when you punch past, you then want to check behind you, yeah? So what we had then, so if you want to step back, what we had then is rather than it being a punch out and a check, really tight in cover, it was almost like a, we're going to keep going, yeah? So what you want to do, obviously you did the slicing and transitioning and all that cool jazz, but what you want to do is you don't want to be presenting all of this to what's there. You want to use as much of this, it's concealment, not cover. Again, airsoft, this is going to stop a BB. Other situations, it's probably not. So what you want, punch out, clear the deep corner that you can, very quick check and punch off. Again, if there's someone behind you, you're probably going to take rounds anyway. It's very difficult to get back in cover fast enough, so it's more of a courtesy than anything else. Trying to do this on your own is just an opportunity. It gives you a bit of a chance, whereas 9 times out of 10, you want to do this as a minimum of a 2-man. So what we'll do, we'll have a look at this as a 2-man. We'll reset and get ready to go, and I'll show you how you can kind of help each other out and slice it at the bottom, being able to go the same direction as well. Join us in a moment. So guys, we've reset up. I've just quickly explained to Mike how we're going to do this. So this is if you've got, again, it could be 2-man, it could be 4-man, you could have rear security or anything like that. But because it's so tight, it's the 2 guys at the front that are going to be doing most of the work. Guys behind you, rear security, checking anything else, and going forward. So the way that this is, we can do the same thing. We are still planning on going in either direction. Doesn't really matter which. The only thing that matters is the head check that we did on the last one now is just a posted up individual. So as we're moving down, we'd be checking. My weapon comes around. As soon as Mike's followed me down to almost the same point, obviously muzzle discipline and all that, as soon as my weapon goes up, Mike would then punch round, and instead of having that head check, my weapon comes up against this door and we're good to go. He doesn't have to check behind him. Yeah, so it's very, very similar. You've just got that extra little bit of safety or security that it's a weapon going around the corner rather than just looking at the guy that's behind you. So we'll do it with weapons up. So again, we're coming down, we're checking, we're checking, we're checking. As we think that we're going to get to a point where weapons cross, my weapon goes up, Mike punches, and then I come to that corner, making sure that nothing is going to get in there. Again, CQB, you've got massive platforms, all kinds of stuff. You can do this in a vastly different amount of, and again, we are in perfect conditions. There's nothing on the floor, there's no cover, there's no struts or anything coming out. So very, very simple addition to the end, and 9 times out of 10, this, anyone that's played at places like HQ, Anzio, anything like that, you come up to a set of stairs and you're presented with a door like this. So what you do is you're both doing a check, one person guns, and then the next one just wants to check that other corridor. So it's probably the most translatable thing, and probably the one that you'll use the most is this little check. So if we get Warren and Mike, just very quickly, and again, the main thing that you need to do in a situation like this is, because everyone's got massive weapons now, is when you get to this point, is not clattering each other and knowing, and again, that thing that I was on about last week, there's nothing wrong with breaking that weapon over the shoulder to get a check. As soon as someone's weapon goes up or down, in this situation, down's probably better, punch past, and then you want to post up on that wall as quick as you can, yeah? Make sense? Yeah. So if Warren, if you want to go on that right-hand wall, so again, nice and steady, break them weapons over the shoulder, you can check, you can check, you can check, and as soon as you get to that point there that you want, weapon can go down or up, and then post up, nice and easy, yeah? So again, what you'll do is when you're working together a lot, and again, when you get used to your weapon platform or whatever you're using, that thing of trying to do this or breaking it over the shoulder or dropping it down and then being able to punch it out. Because when a weapon goes down like this, you're bringing it up, you're doing that, you can shoot. If a weapon breaks over the shoulder, you can shoot around like this, instinctively, like what we were on about last week, is when you point at something, it's very easy, peripheral, I can point at that thing and be very, very accurate. You can do that with a weapon as well. Instinctively, you come up, you can loose around anywhere from 10 to 15 meters away, you're going to be accurate enough, and then if you need to, you could drop out and get rounds down. So posting up on that wall, it's just protecting that head turn and giving that guy an extra bit of chance. But as we've said last week, punching through and getting out the way, because again, you could have 4 or 5 guys coming down here, like we've said, Anzio HQ, you're coming up a set of stairs, you've got this situation here where you've punched past, you two get knocked down or hit in this situation here, yes, you get dragged out of the way, like that. You want to be out the way in the corridors so guys can just come and post up and do their job. So what we'll look at now is, if this was a bit of a wider space, how we deal with that situation, a little bit easier when it comes to weapon situations, and we'll talk about the barrel turn if that's a different situation where you can almost go back to back, but we've got a different scenario set up at the other side of the site, and we'll look at that in just a second. So guys, we've made it up to our next location. This is a slightly wider area to the corridor drill that you've just seen down there. So this can be quite useful for any position that you're in. It could be a 15, 20 foot wide room. It could be a narrow corridor, anything like that that is bigger than a natural corridor at the end. What this is doing is any sort of feature that has 2 dead zones opposite at the end. So we've got a corridor to the right and a room to the left. So we know what's there, but if we were doing this as a first time, we don't know. So as a team, we need to communicate which direction we're intending to go at the end of this drill. So as you're setting up and you're coming into here, we're going progress left. This could be audible indicators. It could be we know the layout or the size of the building. We know that there is a perimeter wall on the right-hand side, so it's going to be a shorter distance, and we're wanting to progress through this building. But again, that can change. That if you're going through this for the first time, a site that you've never seen, you could breach left, and then it's a closet, and there's nothing there, so you need to be able to react and then turn. So what we're going to do in this one, there are 2 ways to do this drill. I much prefer one to the other, just purely because it leads to less sort of dead zone exposure. So the first way we're going to do it, as a 2-man team, you're going to progress down each wall very similar to the corridor. So I'll be on this right-hand wall, and I'm covering the left dead zone. Mike's on my left, he's covering the right dead zone. As we've done with slicing the pie and everything like that, we're stepping, we're moving, we're stepping, we're moving. step in, and when we get to that almost 90 degree, we've not passed the 90 degree arc of that room, what we're then going to do is going to do what's called a barrel turn. A barrel turn is a very simple thing of taking a pace back, and we barrel round and almost go back to back so that we can then clear that last 90 degrees. And because we know that we've decided that that is the direction we're going to go, I will post up security. Mike then does his clear of that direction, and once he says that we can move, I will turn and follow him that way once we progress. The other way that you can do this drill, again, I'm not overly keen on it, is instead of starting at the wall like we did, you start in the barrel position, clearing the direction that you're going to cover. As you can see, you can step down, you can do it, and you're in one motion, and you never have to take a pace back. The problem with this drill is you need to trust him, and he needs to trust you, that if for whatever reason he stops, he sees something, and you take a pace, you've stepped into the dead zone that he hasn't covered yet. So you need to be able to move at a very consistent pace and just be sort of in each other's mind. I'm not overly a fan of it, purely because you're kind of stepping away from clearing exactly what's going, and it gives your oppo the opportunity to sort of accidentally put you in the line of fire. So I'm preferring clearing down. And again, as we've said, this can be done in this space. This could be a 15, 20 foot room. You can do the same thing, barrel turn and clear. The main thing that you're trying to cover as you're coming down, I've cleared 15, 20% of that corridor like that. If we were barrel turned and we're stepping down, he can't cover the same angle that I can cover from this side. Because I'm further away, it's a little bit difficult. In a much wider room, the barrel turn does work because you can clear the right angles. So what we'll do is I'll set Warren and Mike up, we'll watch them go through it, and I'll just try and give them a couple of little pointers. So I'll start at this end. So if you want to set up, and again, you're going to be covering this way. As a team, you're deciding you're going to cut left through here, but again, situations can change, yeah? So if you want to go from there. Nice, steady. So you'd post up security and you'd cut through, and once you cut through, he knows, and you're going to move from there. So the only thing that happened there is when you did do the barrel turn, obviously you had cleared it, so it's fine, but it's a good example of how the barrel turn can set you slight off, and as soon as you are slightly off, shoulder off, that your shoulder is at an angle that he hasn't covered yet. I know you've just covered it, but it's a very situational thing where you do that barrel turn, you've stepped away from the room, things can change, it's all sort. But again, as we've said, it's a little bit of a more as a safe way to do this kind of clearing. People do still teach the barrel turn, and it does make sense in a wider environment, but I'm just not overly keen on it giving you that angle in a dead room. As what we said, what could happen is you get to this situation, you've decided to go this way, and all of a sudden, this is a cupboard. So what would happen then? It's a turn, you'd come to your oppo, tap on the shoulder, and say, we're going this way instead. Worst case scenario, that's a dead end as well. You turn and go back the way that you've came, but obviously you've cleared down to here, you're turning around, this is now unsecured, it continues to be dead zone. Even though you've come through and you've got to here, it's not a save point and you're going to turn around and carry on fighting, that is now unsecure, so you basically do the same drill backwards and work your way back to the site. It's never a case of, oh, this is stopped, it's a dead end, turn around, it's safe back there. Every time you've passed somewhere and you turn around and come back, whether or not it's an engagement, a corridor, a dead zone, anything like that, you turn around, you go, do it all again. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Cool. So, hope you've enjoyed episode 2 of Operation Knowhow. Let us know if this is something you want us to continue, or if you've got a setup, if you've got a weapon platform, if you've got a sort of situation that you've had in a game that you want advice on how you could improve it, let us know. If you've got corridor work, wide room, windows, doors, all sorts of stuff, done this for a long time, so we can kind of maybe work out some tips for you, but we're also going to do some little shorts and things like that, so keep an eye on our social medias and YouTube all the time, because we really like doing this. So catch you in the next one. Bye.